Hi, and welcome to the Intuitive Tool Belt video series, episode 2, the ego, ally or enemy. And so, before we go into some of the tools and tips that I can give you, let's talk about what the ego is. The ego is the part of your brain that mediates between the conscious and the unconscious. It also helps you to perceive reality, as well as the part of your brain that keeps the physical vessel safe. A lot of people like to blame the ego for a lot of different things, and it's actually not the ego's fault. The ego is nothing more than a giant computer, and it takes your experiences, either positive or negative, and then creates beliefs around those, and those beliefs then become your reality. And so in saying that, the ego can actually be your greatest ally, because what you can begin to do is get to the core beliefs that are causing any blocks or fears to come up. So for me personally, I had a block to money. Money for me was something that was very scarce and very hard to come by. And even though my family, we would have great ups and we'd be financially fine, we'd also have terrible lows that we'd go down into. And all throughout my young life, we went through those ups and downs, ups and downs. So my ego then created a belief system by saying, I'm never going to have enough. I'll have my ups, but I'm gonna be down a lot. And so what I started to say just recently has been, anytime those thoughts of lack come up, are we going to have enough money to pay all the bills? Are we going to have enough money to pay the mortgage? What I've started to say as soon as those thoughts come up are no. And I stop myself and I say, I am grateful that I have all the money I need to pay all the bills, buy groceries, and still have $100 left over. I am willing to be surprised at how the universe brings that to me. And so that's a new belief that I've gone into. Now, the second thing that I encourage all of you to do is with whatever blocks or fears that you have. For me personally, I have a body image issue. And I didn't understand where that came from. I never had a body image issue before. I never had a problem with it. And it wasn't until I entered into college that it really started to act up. And so what I did was I went into meditation with the centering thought of, why do I have a body image issue? And what came up for me was when I was about 5 years old, we were traveling and we went to just a rest stop. And, I went in with my dad, everything was fine. He said, I'll be outside waiting for you. I said, okay. And, I pulled down my pants, I pulled down my underwear, but all the way down to the floor. And I had people laughing at me, and I had a gentleman who was not my father and not a guardian, not a friend, come up to me and tell me that that's inappropriate and that you don't do that. And so my ego then created that block, and it had slowly been building over time with negative reinforcement, because the ego is going to take physical experiences that happen to you, either positive or negative, and then it's going to create a belief system around those positive or negative things. But that's why the ego is so amazing, because not only is it going to build both positive beliefs and negative beliefs, but you can reprogram those beliefs. And it's just as simple as going into meditation and naming that core belief. Why is it? Name it. Once you name it, you claim it. Once you claim it, you can change it. Because you're recognizing it. You're saying, okay, this is something inside of me. This is something that I can work on. And so that's where the ego begins to become your greatest ally, because you can begin to reprogram yourself. And it doesn't matter how old you are, you can do this. It's It's going to take a little bit more work if you're older because you do have set in beliefs, but you can create new ones. It's just a matter of doing it. So before I pull our card for today, I do want to give you a tool from the book. And this is called an ego contract. Now, why is it called an ego contract? The ego understands legality. It understands what a contract is. And since it understands what a contract is, it knows it's a legally binding document. And so in becoming more aware of that and recognizing that, the ego will begin to back off. This is going to be for when you're in those meditative states and your ego is bombarding you with thoughts of the day. And you can change this any way you see fit. Okay? So I'm going to read it to you. And what it says is, you insert your name, the party of the first, verbally thank my ego for doing its job, for keeping me safe by abiding by my beliefs, keeping track of my beliefs that I hold, helping me to make safe choices based on past experiences. I no longer wish, ego, for you to be the only guiding force in my life. I now wish to listen to the voice of my intuition. Ego, by signing into this contract, which is legally binding, you are no longer allowed to do the following: interrupt me in my meditation throughout the day. You are not allowed to interact with me while I am interacting with my spiritual team. Ergo, guides, angels, ascended masters, passed over loved ones. You are not allowed to put your input into my spiritual matters at this time. When I attempt a psychic exercise, you cannot interject unless asked. Ego, you, the second party, understand this by signing this. You verbally agree to all the terms and conditions of this document. And then you just go ahead and you sign it. So in the book, I actually have, you can see here, and then I have a little place for you and your ego to sign. And, sign it, date it, and so that way it's real. That way your ego understands. So, basically, in the wrap-up, in the conclusion, the ego is not your enemy. The ego is one of your greatest allies. It's just a matter of you realizing that and coming to that conclusion that the ego is nothing more than a supercomputer that takes into account all of your experiences within the physical world, both positive and negative, and then it creates beliefs off of those. And all you have to do is change your beliefs to change your life. And if I can do it, so can you. So let's go ahead and pull a card from Sonia Choquette's Ask Your Guides to see what guide can help us really work with our ego. Okay? So I ask for guidance and protection during this reading. What guide can we work with to better work with our egos? Okay, so we have two cards that came out. We have our warrior guides, and we also have our master teachers. Okay, so with our warrior guides, what we're going to be able to do is we're going to bring in that fiery energy. We're going to be able to bring in that. And as you see, it says bravado. So, really taking that into account, that you can change it, bringing that warrior energy in. And then we have our master teacher talking about purpose and moving forward. So with these two guides, there's a simple way. All you have to do is close your eyes and say, I now call on my warrior guides as well as my master teacher to help me work with my ego for the divine highest good. Okay? So there's your homework for this week. Work with your ego and really get to the core beliefs and start to change them. And it's very easy to start changing them because all you have to do is name it, claim it, and then you can start the process of healing. And in the process of healing your beliefs, what you have to do is replace it with a new belief. So for me, my belief system was that I didn't have enough money, but then I started changing it and saying that I am grateful that I have all the money that I need to pay all the bills, buy groceries, and still have $100 left over. I am willing to be surprised at how the universe brings that to me. And you can change that around however you want. So whenever you start having those negative thoughts about, body image, instead of being like, oh, I'm so fat, oh, my skin's so pale, oh, I have dandruff, say, no, stop it right away. I love myself and I love my body. And really, the best way to do that is to find a mirror and look deeply into your own eyes and say, I love myself and I love my body. And I'm sending you all of my love.